Severe weather preparedness week. The CBS 17 storm team is sharing stories to help you and your family prepare for any storm.
Yeah, our coverage begins with a look back on that EF-3 tornado that hit Rocky Mount nearly 6 months ago. Chief Meteorologist Wes Hohenstein spoke to some of the first responders on the scene that day.
When there's bad weather, that's where we find our own Lance Blocker. Guys, let's switch back over to the Rocky Mount camera.
That is a rotating wall cloud.
Oh my gosh.
I've got a full building collapse here, or a structure collapse. On the other side of that tree, you can see the police and fire running around out here to make sure everybody's okay.
When we arrived on scene back at the Tiffany Boulevard side of it, right in front of the building that had been completely demolished, debris thrown all the way back into the apartment complex, right back behind it. And we could see, there was EMS crews doing patient care, fire crews searching.
We heard tornado touch, but no one expected to see what we seen.
Last September, the big weather story for the country was Hurricane Helene. But it wasn't a hurricane that hit Rocky Mount. It was a tornado spawned by the tropical system.
You get out of the truck and you take a second to take it all in and, do your own size up and understand what we have going on. But then it's time to go to work.
21-year-old Rocky Mount firefighter Taylor Ratoski and 23-year veteran Captain Lamont Morgan were some of the first on the scene that day, arriving minutes after the tornado hit.
It was shocking that it hit this close to home. Like I said earlier, this is, I remember we were sitting in the captain's office at Station 6 watching the news and, saying
telling us it was
right over top of us.
Telling us there was a tornado, watching 17 News that there was a tornado in the area.
Our assignment was to go and search those buildings down there. Captain told us to grab the EMS bags, in anticipation of potentially finding additional victims or people that needed medical attention. Thankfully, we didn't.
The first damage reports for the tornado had no mention of a twister, but the call over the radio simply said accident with injury.
As soon as we arrived on scene, you could tell with all the debris that was thrown everywhere, you could tell that a tornado had came through and affected this, direct area.
Engine 4, which is another engine that we have, and they were finding debris as far as 1.5 miles away.
While the impact and aftermath of this tornado was significant, the time it spent on the ground here in Rocky Mount was not. It touched down right over here at 1:30 in the afternoon, but was only on the ground for 3 minutes and a little more than 1,000 feet, which is basically just across the street. But on that Friday afternoon last September, the EF-3 tornado with 140-mile-per-hour winds damaged 14 buildings and injured 15 people.
This is the first time I've responded to a tornado or something like this, but we're no stranger to large incidents like this.
It was just last March, a massive recycling plant fire kept the Rocky Mount Fire Department busy for days. And they had another EF-3 tornado hit northwest of town in Dorchester back in the summer of 2023. In all those events, while many were injured, there were no fatalities.
We're standing on a flat piece of dirt that used to be a building. Do you remember what happened to that building?
Yeah, this used to be a medical supply building. Right here was a daycare. It was a daycare, but they just so happened to have been closed that day.
When we visited Rocky Mount to relive that day with the firefighters, damage was still evident as repairs were being made.
Just a whole lot of wind. When it tore down this building over here, all that debris flew into this building and just busted out glasses and blowed out this storefront. It was bad. 15 injuries that had people that had medical attention given to them, and with no fatalities. That only you can thank one person for that.
And our thanks to the firefighters for joining us and all the first responders that day. They do more than 200 hours of training every year to be ready for stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they were ready.
Yeah, it looks like they were prepared. All right.
Wes, thank you.